Right.
Welcome to the Holistic Kids Show. My name is Zane.
My name is Abdullah.
And my name's Emaad.
We're the Holistic Kids here to educate us kids from the inside out.
Happy second podcast anniversary for us.
And
And me.
we have officially made it to our second year with over 70 episodes. This journey has been amazing. We are so thankful to all our listeners out there.
Emaad started this journey when he was 7 years old, and now he is 2. So we have learned now he is 9. Now he's 9, right? Right? You didn't travel back in time, which is good. I'm glad you didn't go negative years. So now we have learned so much from our amazing experts, and we can't wait to continue this journey with all of you. Why do we do this? It's to help other kids take charge of their health and their lives.
And boy, do we need it now more than ever.
With about 1 in 5 children has a diagnosable mental health condition, and the American Academy of Pediatrics, the American Academy of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry, and the Children's Hospital Association declared a national emergency in child and adolescent mental health. A study in clinical pediatrics in January showing a 18% rise in initial psychiatry consults at CS Mott Children's Hospital from July 2020 to July 2021, compared with the 2019 to 2020 time period. That's a 4-year-fold increase in mental health consultation demand compared with the rate of increase from previous years.
That is crazy.
Basically, what I just said is that it's increasing a lot. A lot more kids are suffering from mental illnesses than ever before.
That is crazy.
I know suicide rates are on a rise. Self-harming behaviors are on a rise. Our brains and bodies are just not working the way they should.
That is so scary. How can we optimize our brain and health?
Well, as a special treat for our second year anniversary podcast, we have an expert on this topic here with us today, Dr. Steven Masley. Dr. Steven Masley, MD, is
it's great to be with you.
It's our pleasure as well.
It's our pleasure.
It's our pleasure.
Dr. Steven Masley, MD, is a physician, nutritionist, author, medical researcher, and trained chef, and founder of the Masley Optimal Health Center. His unique program empowers people to be mentally sharper, quicker, and more productive. His PBS program, 30 Years to a Younger Heart, was the all-time most popular health and wellness show on public television and has been viewed by millions over only 3 years. He is a best-selling author with 4 published books: The Mediterranean Method, Better Brain Solution, Smart Fat, and The 30-Day Heart Tune-Up, and has published over 20 medical articles and has written hundreds of articles for the public. That's amazing.
Amazing.
He has even spoken to over 30,000 physicians at medical meetings and has over 700 public events across the USA and Canada. We are so incredibly honored to have him on our show today. So we are so honored for you to be here with us as well. We would love to hear how a medical doctor, also trained as a chef, and now has helped millions of people over the world. We would love to hear your story.
A story. Well, one thing that I've noticed is that the food we eat has a huge impact on our brain and how sharp we are. So when I think about, I've had children in my practice come to see me, and the parents complain they couldn't focus, they couldn't pay attention, they couldn't do their homework from school. And usually the first thing I ask, what do you think the first thing I ask is?
Do they have good
Are they?
What do they eat?
Oh,
Oh
yeah. We
my
knew that. We were just
God.
testing you.
What do they eat? That's the key. We know from like if you give children a sugary breakfast, pancakes with syrup, and you test their brain function an hour or two later, it slows down. It literally shuts down their brain and they can't think as quickly. But if you eat a healthy breakfast that doesn't have a lot of sugar in it, it's like vegetables, beans, nuts, healthy protein, clean protein, their brain speeds up. So one of the keys, one of the most important things we can do is make sure we get the right food so that your brain is quick like a fast computer instead of sluggish with like a computer you want to shut off.
Wow.
Wow.
That is
Let's-
amazing.
Let's talk about the elephant in the room. Why aren't our brains working the way they should?
Yeah, because I mean, we've had a brain, like humans have had a brain for millions and millions of years. What's different between our brain and the brain of our ancestors? They should be
It's
the
a very
same.
good question. Well, but it's not, because now for 100,000 years, we never had processed food. We didn't have food that came in a can or a box. Our food wasn't full of sugar and didn't have flour in it, grain flour. So when we add all these chemicals and preservatives and sugar, it shuts our brain down. That's the difference between what we eat today and what we ate 100,000 years ago or 10,000 years ago. The other thing is we're way less active. 100,000 years ago, you guys would be out hunting for food and, herbs and sticks for fuel. If you wanted water, you'd have to walk down to the river and carry it back in a sack. We used to be a lot more active than we are today, and our activity levels have plummeted. So I think those are two huge differences between today and how we were in the past. Good question.
Yeah, I mean, why aren't we making this a priority? Because when kids' brains don't work, that can cause a lot of problems for their future as adults.
And over time, we get depressed. Depression means depressed brain chemical function. So if this goes on and on and on, it's not just a day, but it's a lifetime. People start feeling sad and depressed, and they don't do well in school, and they don't achieve well, and it really has a big impact on their life.
So what can kids do today to optimize the health of their brains?
Well, first and foremost is to eat the right food. The two foods I would say that you should avoid are sugar and grain flour, because if you look at a bowl of white flour, a bowl of whole wheat flour, or a bowl of sugar, they're all the same on your brain. And when you eat them, it tends to shut your brain down. Your brain can't handle those sugar loads. It overloads the brain in a very simple chemical way. So number one would be to avoid those. But really what you want to eat more of is like the things you've talked about in your rainbow book. Colorful fruits and vegetables. Those plant proteins and those colors provide the nutrients your brain needs. And it wants all the colors just like in a rainbow. That's one would be adding the right foods. Fruit, vegetable, beans, and nuts, lots of color, and avoid sugar. I mean, is that an answer? You want to follow up and ask anything else about that?
I mean, you're pretty straightforward. Yeah, because sugar isn't meant to be, the brain can't comprehend sugar in large amounts. Basically, if you have too much sugar, the brain will get confused. It'll start affecting the way the brain works. You'll become hyper. You'll have sugar crashes. You'll have cravings because of the way the sugar works. And
yes, absolutely.
yeah, and back then, before the technology and the processed food era, back then sugar was harder to find than nowadays. Nowadays, sugar is everywhere, right?
Yes.
Like even in ketchup, we see sugar in ketchup.
Sugar.
Why do you need ketchup, sugar in ketchup?
We don't.
Yeah.
And flour, I think a lot of people don't realize flour has the same impact as table sugar. I mean, flour from nuts is okay, like almond flour. I'm not talking, that's more almond meal. When we talk grain flour from rice flour or wheat flour, that has the same effect as table sugar. And many people are get confused by that and tricked.
Yeah, and that's because people eat sugar for happiness. And that dopamine rush they get whenever they eat
Yes,
sugar.
absolutely. They get a momentary rush. But when your sugar goes up, insulin goes up. And when insulin levels jump, they stop the brain from being able to use the sugar they have as energy. So you get foggy. You feel like you can't think sharply. And you're like in a daze. So yes, so that as your sugar goes up, your insulin goes up. And if you get a spike in insulin, that shuts down your brain cell ability to use energy. And over time, not only are you foggy, but your brain cells start to die. And that's really bad.
Yeah, which is why people really don't understand that sugar can literally kill brain cells.
Exactly. That's the number one cause of memory loss in America today is too much sugar.
Yeah, so what would be a good breakfast for kids to eat to help them focus?
So I like the idea. I'll give you a couple choices, and then it's what would you like? So you want something that's got like fiber in it. So one of my favorite breakfasts might be something like with cherries or blueberries, those colorful pigments, some almond milk, and a little protein in a smoothie. So here you get protein. There's not really any sugar in it because in the berries, the fiber prevents your sugar level from going up. It just gives you continuous energy. I mean, another one could be like a vegetable omelet, little olive oil, some cage-free organic eggs, and some vegetables you saute it with. I mean, that would be a nice choice. I'm curious, what's your favorite breakfast?
Our mom makes a cassava flour pancake.
It's like
Okay.
cassava flour, almond flour pancakes can be amazing. You can do the same with
Yeah.
waffles. We love omelets, eggs. Right? Those are
Yeah.
also amazing.
And you have fruit with those pancakes?
Yes, we love the
Yes, we
strawberries and the
love-
berries.
Yeah, so the strawberries and the blueberries add that natural sweetness and color. Those color pigments are really good for your brain cells. We know when you eat blueberries, for example, it actually improves brain speed and brain function.
Yes.
So those pigments are great. And an omelet would be another good choice. Those are all great choices.
So, how do you describe the difference between being mentally sharp or having brain fog?
So you can measure that. So in a medical clinic, so I'll give you the sophisticated answer and then a simple answer. So in my clinic, we actually have people do a test on a computer and we can measure their brain speed, how quick they are, like going through a maze and answering questions. So we can measure brain speed on computerized testing. And it's really, I think it's a cool thing to do. But I think what you realize is when you're reading like a paragraph, ask yourself, when you get through reading a paragraph, do you remember the whole thing, or sometimes do you have to reread it? When you have brain speed, when you have brain fog and you're reading, you might have to read a paragraph 2 or 3 times to remember it, so you can go on to the next paragraph when you're reading a story, like a book. When you're sharp and quick, you just find yourself going right through it. You don't forget a thing. You're quick and you're sharp. You remember the whole story and you could tell it back and you're done reading faster than you thought possible. So one version is quick, productive. That's fast brain speed. Brain fog is when you're not remembering it and you have to keep redoing the steps and you get frustrated and eventually you almost get upset. So brain fog isn't fun. Having optimal brain performance is like, wow, it's like having a high-speed car that just takes you wherever you want to go.
What factors in a kid's cause brain fog?
So what factors cause fog? Well, one is they're eating the wrong food. Another one are toxins. In a lot of those processed foods, they shouldn't do this, but the food industry puts toxins in processed food. One example would be like in bacon or sausage and a lot of those processed meats like hot dogs, the meat is all ground up. And so it would go bad quickly and they only have a day or so to sell it. So they put chemicals in so it lasts for weeks on the shelf. The problem is that the chemicals, the nitrosamines, poison your brain and cause brain dysfunction. So chemicals that like things that come from plastic, the nitrosamines they put in processed meats, packaged food oftentimes has toxins that slow down your brain. A third cause is inactivity. I don't know if it's this, but if you run around the house a couple times and you come out and you come back inside, you usually find you can think quickly. In contrast, think about when you first wake up in the morning, you've been sleeping and your brain is kind of sleepy, right? It's groggy. That's like brain fog. So exercise speeds up the brain. And if you sit all day, like watch TV and don't do anything, your brain speed gets slower and slower and slower. So the wrong food, toxins, and inactivity, those are some of the biggest causes for brain fog.
Wow. And you were talking about sleep. Can sleep affect can sleep basically affect your brain fog and how much you have?
That's a great question because it really does. So if what you want is good quality sleep, some people don't sleep well and they have restless sleep and they never really get rested and they wake up groggy. You want to sleep solid at night, sleep right through the night and wake up so mind is sharp. So the quality of your sleep really is important. I'm glad you brought that up.
And there was a study actually published this month about children who lack sleep who may experience detrimental impact on brain and cognitive development that persists over time. According to a new study, though, led by the University of Maryland School of Medicine, published this month in the journal Lancet Child and Adolescent Health, they find that getting less than 9 hours of sleep nightly associated with cognitive difficulties, mental problems, and less gray matter in certain brain regions. And such differences are actually correlated with greater mental health problems like depression, anxiety, impulsive behaviors, and in those who lack sleep.
So when your parents say it's time to go to bed, yes, if you want to be sharp tomorrow, if you want to have fun tomorrow, you need to get to bed and get enough sleep. I really like that. I think 9 hours is like the minimum. And some people are good with 9, but some people need 10, some especially children. And the younger children probably need more sleep. So you're bringing up a very important point that sleep is essential for your brain. And not only for your brain, people who don't sleep enough tend to get overweight. They gain fat. So inadequate sleep slows your ability to burn calories in the day, slows your brain speed. So not only do you have brain fog, but you gain weight at the same time in a way you don't want to. So sleep is really important.
Yeah, ages 9 to 12 need 9 to 12 hours of sleep.
9 to 10. 8 to 10.
It said 9 to 12. Okay.
So yeah, because then
9 to 12.
8 times.
9 to 12.
Okay,
Okay.
well, we can do
It
that.
changes with age. You're both
Yeah.
right in that as you get older, you can get by with less sleep. So depending on the age of the child, you might need 10 hours, you could need up to 12, or you only maybe need 8 to 9. So, and there is differences. Some people are a little different than others. We're not all the same. So it's important to listen to your body and get what you need.
What are key nutrients for optimal brain function?
So in our clinic, I told you we used to measure brain speed, right?
Yes.
So we would look at who had a fast brain and who had a slow brain, and we analyzed their nutrient intake. And what we found was there were several nutrients that predicted a faster brain. One of them was the fiber, like in colorful fruits and vegetables from the rainbow. So eating vegetable, fruit, beans, and nuts, those colorful plant pigments so that was associated with better brain speed. Magnesium is a really important nutrient. It has many health benefits, but it also helps your brain. So magnesium you get like from eating seeds and nuts and green leafy vegetables. So eating more nuts and seeds can actually be a good way those healthy fats support your brain. And when I say healthy fats, the long chain omega-3 fats that come like with seafood or seaweed are also really important for your brain and make a big difference.
Yeah.
So fiber, especially colorful plant, it would be my favorite. And omega-3 fats like seafood fats. And another pigment that's good for your brain is actually dark chocolate. Not candy, milk chocolate, but dark chocolate provides a pigment that appears to be really good for our brains. So nutrients like, as I said, magnesium and omega-3 fats and the fiber, those are really good for you.
That's amazing.
Amazing.
Also, I never knew that dark chocolate could actually be good for your brain.
It's good for your heart and your brain. But remember, we're not chocolate, which is mostly sugar. We're talking dark chocolate. It should be at least 74 or 80% cocoa. But if you like it, that's good for your heart and for your brain. It's really a good, healthy food source and is a good source of fiber.
Which physical activities improve brain function?
So I said when you're active, your brain goes faster, right?
Yes.
So there's two forms of activity. There are other three kinds of activity. Two of them are physical. One is like when you run, that we call that aerobic activity. When you get short of breath and you huff and puff, that will speed up your brain. But what's interesting is also when you lift weights or lift something heavy, like when you're gardening with your parents or family, heavy lifting, that weight that builds muscle, they'll also, as in our data, showed that had better, people who had more muscle and more strength had better brain speed. But the other activity is brain activity. It's like studying, it's reading, it's, concentrating and using your brain, doing puzzles, learning another language, playing music. All of those things, those are activities that stimulate the brain and actually also make your brain faster and help your brain cells grow. People who learn a second language, people who play an instrument, they're less likely to have memory loss when they get older as adults.
Wow. That's amazing that just by learning a language or playing an instrument, it can help your brain.
It creates new pathways. It's like adding extra electrical wiring to your brain. I mean, you see wires in machine and wires in devices. When you learn a new language and when you learn a musical instrument, it puts new wiring in your brain. We call that neurogenesis. you build new brain pathways and you make your brain faster and you protect it from aging over time.
Wow, this was amazing.
So inspirational.
What is one thing kids can do today to optimize their brain health?
Eat a rainbow of foods, be active, avoid processed, food that comes in cans and boxes, stick to what's real food, and of course, be active, learn things. The more you learn, the better your brain. Those are all really helpful tools that you could follow.
Wow. So that is why kids, remember, sleep, exercise, mental exercises like studying, and food can all affect how your brain works and how fast your brain is when responding to other stuff. So that is why exercise, sleep, all this can help better for studying. It can help you with doing everyday things that can really help you in life.
And it makes you more cheerful too. You're more happy. It not only does it make you sharper, but it brings more joy to our life. So life is more fun.
Where can people learn more about you and your work?
Well, they could check out my website at drmasley.com, drmasley.com, or they could read my books.
Please tell us all about your amazing books.
Well, I've written a few. I have the 30-Day Heart Tune-Up, the Better Brain Solution, and one of my favorites also is those are like my top two, and the top three would be the Mediterranean Method. I read, it's a diet that I learned living in Europe and sailing in Europe, and what the foods people eat on the Mediterranean Sea. Diverse, beautiful, lovely, easy to prepare food that's really good for your heart, your brain, and your life.
Yeah. Amazing.
So those are my books out there.
So, thank you so much for joining us today. We are so honored.
It was a pleasure.
It was our pleasure as well.
Yeah, it was our pleasure.
So
that was so empowering. Everyone make sure to follow Dr. Steven Masley on social media. To recap Dr. Masley's key points.
there's so much you can do to help your brain, like eating the right foods, avoid sugar and grain flour. And remember, sugar can hide in so many different products like ketchup, wheat flour, grain flour, lots of products you wouldn't think would need sugar. Also, stop eating fake food. Avoid artificial food and artificial colors. Also, you remember your brain can't handle all of those sugar loads. Also, eat the rainbow, colorful foods and veggies. Add the right foods like beans and nuts, and make sure to eat a lot of fiber with cherries and blueberries, and get some protein in a smoothie. Another great breakfast is a veggie omelet, which can really help which has everything. It has the fats, it has the veggies, and it has the protein. Also, remember, toxins in processed foods can lead to brain fog, like nitrates and in processed meats can poison your brain and poison you. So remember to stay away from those. Also, when you're active, you can think quickly. There are 3 types of activities that can help. Make sure to incorporate exercise like running or lifting weights, and even activities that stimulate the brain and make them grow, like puzzles and music, and even learning a new language. Sleep is so important for your brain. When you don't sleep, you have brain fog, and that makes you grumpy and it makes you less efficient at work. It even causes weight gain. Listen to your body and get what you need. Also, nutrients that will help your brain work faster are from colorful plant pigments that are packed with fiber, magnesium, and that helps your brain from seeds and nuts and green leafy veggies. Even dark chocolate is great for your brain. Doing it also along with omega-3 fats, which you can find in fish.
Thank you again, Dr. Masley. We know you are super busy, so we are so incredibly honored that you joined us today.
So honored.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Until next time, I'm Zansari.
I'm Abdullah.
And I'm Emaad.
Follow my family and I on social media, Holistic Mom MD. And look out for my mom's book, The Holistic RX, your guide to chronic inflammation and disease. The Holistic RX for kids, parenting healthy brains and bodies in a changing world. And the amazing children's book we wrote together called Adam's Healing Adventure, Power of Rainbow Foods. So check it out on Amazon. Yay! We are doing our 2-year anniversary. We want to give you all our special dessert cookbook. We know most kids love sweets, so we put our favorite recipes just for you. Check it out on the description of this podcast. Whatever it is. We need to learn from other kids. Please download our podcast in iTunes and leave a review so other kids and families can benefit. We need to work together to create a healthy future for all of us and the planet. Join us next week for another episode of the Holistic Kid Show, where kids are empowering kids. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.